Know your number. Don't just come out here like, oh, I need to make 6 figures, or I'm just pulling numbers out. Sometimes you're pulling numbers out and you're working and toiling really, really hard for something that you don't even require, to the detriment of your other pillars. I'm Patrice Washington, and this is the Redefining Wealth podcast, where authenticity leads to alignment and abundance. Join us each week as we peel back the layers on what wealth truly means and dive into conversations that inspire, connect, and empower you to live your richest life. Get ready to challenge the status quo. It's time to redefine wealth for yourself. Hey guys, it's Patrice Washington, and I am so excited to finally share this story with you. It's been on my heart for a while. And of course, my clients and people in my community in the Redefining Wealth app have heard bits and pieces of this. But as we talk about purpose evolving in this season of Redefining Wealth, the work pillar is so important. And I think it's so important for you to have real examples. And I pray that me sharing my own story and testimony is a blessing to you if you are someone who's in a season that needs to make peace with the fact that the paycheck is not going to be the same in order for you to truly pursue what you feel you are purposed to do in this season. And I know that it's hard. Let me tell you, that's why I told you the number straight out. I know that it's hard, but as we've talked about this month, doing something with more ease doesn't mean that it's easy. But once you've built the muscle for how you govern your life, things do start to happen with more ease. Not that it's easy. So if you don't even know what the work pillar means and you're brand new here, well, you're in for a treat. I'm Patrice Washington. I've developed the 6 pillars of wealth. That's what this podcast has been founded on for 7 years. If you don't know what the 6 pillars are, I'm going to encourage you to come in a little closer. You can take the Redefining Wealth quiz, which is at patricewashington.com, and figure out which one of the 6 pillars may be preventing you from having the actual tangible financial wealth you desire. Because there are so many parts of your life that are impacting your finances, even when you're not thinking about it. And this is why we believe as a community that wealth is not just about money and material possessions, as we have been taught. When you look at the original 12th century definition of wealth, it's about the condition of well-being. And so it is so important that you give yourself the space and grace to be well so that you can do the work that you have been commissioned to do in this lifetime. Because I believe you were born with purpose, on purpose, for purpose. And when you don't know what that purpose is, when you don't embrace what that purpose is, it creates a void. And that void we call a lack of fulfillment. And when you are unfulfilled, you are going to mismanage your finances every single time. So we may as well get this together. And after the affirmation of the week, we will dive into my own story about how I just in 2023 gave up $1 million in revenue. And I'm going to share with you why and how that all went down and what came out of it. This week's affirmation is, greater is ahead of me. I firmly believe that greater things lie ahead of me, awaiting my embrace with open arms and a receptive heart. Each day, I boldly step forward into the unknown, trusting in the abundance of opportunities that await. I release any doubts or fears that may hold me back, knowing that I am worthy and capable of achieving my dreams. As I journey towards the horizon of my current vision, I remain open to the infinite possibilities that lie in store for me. With each stride, I move closer to the realization of my highest potential, empowered by the knowledge that my best is definitely yet to come. Declare with me today, greater is ahead of me. Okay, so let's jump into this story, y'all. Whew. Last year, 2023, I had finished all of the divorce related things, not all of it, but the legal contractual part of it. So I'll take you back a little bit further. I separated late 2021. My divorce began March 2022, and it was final August 2022. And throughout the entire separation and divorce process, my business was still rocking and rolling. We were doing very well, multiple seven-figure business. And I was like, oh, thank you, God. Like, you released me from this marriage and you still are releasing blessings. So just thank you. And so I was just doing my thing. The two primary programs that made up $1 million in revenue alone were Purpose to Platform and Command the Stage. Those were the two signature programs that I had become known for. And we would have long waiting lists for people to come into those programs. I would get asked about it all the time, and I absolutely love teaching them. Purpose to Platform began late 2019, but really took off in 2020. And by the time we did our last cohort, we had about 700 or so graduates of Purpose to Platform, which I was really proud of. And just one of my favorite things to do, honestly, in that season, because I got to watch people go from not having a clear idea of what they were being called to do to people actually launching things within the 12 weeks that we had. I saw people go from I'm not ready to having a $40,000 launch of their first launch. I went from people saying I have nothing to say to literally writing books and then getting on stages. And I remember actually, like, going into the pandemic, I did not have a vision for Command the Stage at all. That wasn't anything I had consciously thought of. I was in the shower and got a download. Like, it just came to me, and all of the content, it was like God was like piecing together all of these things that made me such a compelling speaker, because people would always come up to me and tell me why they loved my talk so much. And I never called those pieces anything until that moment in the shower. I literally almost bust my butt getting out the shower wet and, just trying to get all the notes down. Well, we launched Command the Stage in 2020, and that quickly became such a great companion to Purpose to Platform, because once people knew what they were supposed to do, now it was time for them to know how to talk about it, especially if their stories were heavy and they needed to do it from a place of being a victor, not a victim. And so 2020, 2021, 2022, those two programs were making up together $1 million, if not more, depending on how many cohorts I launched each year. And Command the Stage had several hundred graduates as well. So why would you stop doing something that works? You ask, why would anyone stop doing something that literally creates seven figures? You have it dialed in. You know what you're doing. The clients love the results. People come to you for this, and this is go time. This is go time. 2023, there were a lot of things that still needed to be settled, even though the divorce was final. I will leave you to your imagination, but I needed to do the settling. Okay. So this would not be the season to not launch the things. This is the season, some might say, that you go all the way in, you make all the money, you get this over with quickly, and then you move on with your life. Except for the fact that years ago, my theme for the year was obedience. And what God gave me in that year, when my theme was obedience, it was 2020. So what would your life look like if every time the Holy Spirit said move, you moved and you didn't question? And so that's what put me into radical action with launching Command the Stage. It's what put me into radical action with how we shifted, how we would open the doors to Purpose to Platform. Both were wildly successful. So I'm like, oh God, I got this obedience thing down. Okay, we're on it. I was being obedient left and right. And then the next year, what I heard was, it's still obedience, but now what would things look like if I told you not to do something you knew how to do? And I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that kind of obedience, especially as someone who is a doer and a make it happen type of person. You give me an idea, I can run with it. But you give me a bunch of stuff and then tell me do nothing. And I'm like, oh my, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? You couldn't have given this to me to not do anything with. That doesn't make sense. Well, it made sense. There were things that I was told not to do that could have made a lot of money as well in 2021, and I did not do them. And so I just share that to say, I have been building the muscle of obedience both ways for some years now. So when we get to 2023, and in January of 2023, I'm still thinking that we're going to do purpose to platform and command the stage. I have no reason not to. It's just about finding dates on the calendar that fit within like my filming and just different things I had going on. But I had every intention of still doing it. And then I kept feeling this nudge that said, Patrice, you have to go all in on the pillars. Like you're still tiptoeing around the pillars because all of this business coaching stuff makes all the money, but that's not what you're here to do. That's not what you're here to do in this season. And I'm like, Now this is going into 2023. So December 2022, for those of you who have been around, you may remember that I relaunched Mastery and Momentum. I relaunched my mastermind that had been dormant for years because I was so focused on everything else that I was doing. And I had a bit of a little traumatic experience in the last Mastery and Momentum. And I was like, maybe this is not what God wants me to do. Remember I said a few weeks ago, sometimes you're confusing audience with assignments, because we had so many people who were assigned to me in Mastery Momentum who have phenomenal results. I could see their faces in my mind. I still get notes and emails and cards and pictures of new babies from those first few cohorts of Mastery Momentum. And I let one person who was a charlatan literally make me feel like, I don't know. Let me just do these other things where I don't have to get as close with people. That's really what it was about. In December, it started to happen, December 2022, where it was like, no, you're being called to really help people utilize the pillars, because that's how you've been able to navigate this entire season with so much ease and grace. And not that it was easy, but with ease and grace. And so I was like, okay, I'll do Mastery and Momentum. So we launched it in December 2022. Within 2 weeks, we filled the mastermind. We had 18 amazing women, just absolutely adore each and every one of them. It was such a beautiful experience. And I thought that that would be it. December, I was like, that's it. January, I'm at a mastermind event in Texas and wake up at 4:00 in the morning, and the Holy Spirit was like, okay, just because people can't pay the high ticket numbers, did nobody tell you that you weren't assigned to them? You're still assigned to them. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And Pillar Mastery dropped in my spirit. Some of you will remember. I literally had Pillar Mastery drop in my spirit. I was led to make it a very short container, but very impactful. And it was a 6-week container, co-created conversations, all this stuff. And it was all rooted in the pillars. We got 25 people within a few days to say yes. And that's where Pillar Mastery was born. It literally, like, I got the idea at 4:00 in the morning. It dropped in my spirit. I woke up and made the page. It was a Saturday morning, so I didn't even bother anyone on my team. I made the page myself. I created a video. I set up the emails. My team found out about it when the whole audience found out about it, essentially. They were like, wait a minute, what is this? What's going on? It came out. It just came out, and it was like, this is it. And I'm still like, okay, God, I could do that. Then we'll just have to find some place to put purpose to platform and command the stage. We'll be obedient. And as time went on, I was doing what I call an authentic alignment audit. And I was taking Mastery and Momentum and Pillar Mastery through that same type of process. At the time, Mastery Momentum was 6 months. Pillar Mastery was 6 weeks, but I was doing the work with them over and over and over again. And so an authentic alignment audit is really our process for living by the pillars. So you go through each pillar and you ask yourself a series of questions. And one of the first ones is just, where am I on autopilot? Where am I comfortable? Where is God trying to get my attention? What is not working for me anymore? And the more I did that, the more I prayed, the more I meditated, the more I journaled, I literally kept sensing in my spirit, you need to not double, not triple, but quadruple down on the pillars. And in order to do that, there is no purpose to platform and command the stage for you. Not right now. And you know what that means, right? that's like excuse me? Did I hear this correctly? Nah, I'm going to pray on it, meditate and journal again tomorrow. And the same thing kept coming up. And so I went from, I'll postpone it until later in the year to no, I'm not doing it at all because I do want to be obedient. All while still handling the settling of things from my divorce. Talk about this is not the ideal time. Talk about this is not something that I would choose to do, that I would just be like, oh, this is great. But when you feel so compelled that you are being called to do something and you are being called to serve people in a different way, for me, I have no choice but to make peace. That's why I gave you guys the things from Make Peace with Purpose. If you didn't hear that episode, that's where this comes from. I had to make peace with the fact that I was being called to serve people in a different way. I had to make peace that how I had positioned myself in the marketplace did not even resonate with me anymore like that. I had to make peace with the limited paycheck or lack thereof, right? I had to make peace with the process because it was going to require a lot of pruning. And I can honestly say that I believe that it was one of the best things that could have happened to me, because I would have been so caught up in all the things that are necessary in order to launch and execute those programs that I believe I would have missed what God wanted to do for me, with me, and to me in this season. There are so many things that came out from the additional time that I had to spend in my faith pillar. There are so many things that came out of how I actually wanted to show up in my people pillar. There are so many things that happened with my space pillar. And now I can look back. It's only been a year and some change, but now I can look back and literally just be like, God, I understand why. I understand why. So much has happened with how redefining wealth has evolved and how my purpose in this has evolved. One of the first things that God started to show me as I was coaching in mastery, momentum, and pillar mastery, he said, the reason that people cannot redefine wealth for themselves, the reason that they cannot dream a new dream is because they won't acknowledge that their current life is a nightmare. He said, they cannot dream a new dream. You are going around wanting people to dream a new dream and use the pillars to redefine wealth. They cannot hear that and receive that and retain that because they are in a nightmare that they will not acknowledge. Until they have awareness, they can't align anything. And then we keep going, and I keep coaching, and I keep doing all of the things that I'm leading people through. I don't just say this stuff and then go home and do something different. This is my life. I'm just sharing literally the things, the practices, the rituals, the behaviors, the mindset shifts, all of that. And this is on top of everything that I've written in Redefine Wealth for Yourself. Those exercises are brilliant if you actually put them into practice. I think sometimes people think, oh, that's so simple. That's nothing. One thing can change everything. It's the simple things that create the most significant change in your life. But you're looking for things to be so difficult that you won't just do the things you've already heard. And so God was like, yeah, all of that is great. Now you have to teach them the mindset, the true mindset. You have to help them position themselves differently. You have to help them come into awareness, and you have to help them actualize. Because if you expose people to all of this and then they don't get the guts to do anything about it, it only really prolongs their suffering, and it makes that nightmare feel like something they cannot wake up from. This is why you talk to people who have been dealing with the same stuff, the same people, the same environment, the same beliefs, all this stuff for decades, and they are secretly miserable. They have built a life that has imprisoned them. You may have been building a life that you now feel trapped by, imprisoned. You feel in bondage. You feel like someone has literally made you a hostage. You are the one. You have the keys. He said you got to help people get their keys back. And so that's where the continuum for redefining wealth was born. I would have never understood or heard that while launching all of the other things. There's no way, because they took too much time, energy, money. It took too much. And the continuum is, it's not just about redefining wealth. Redefining is the middle stage. You cannot redefine until you awaken. So the continuum is awaken. It means to arise from slumber. There are some things in your life that are a nightmare, and you will not give voice to it. You will not tell the truth. You are still romanticizing. You are still rationalizing. You're still trying to intellectualize what you're experiencing. You're still trying to normalize. You are on autopilot in a nightmare. And this is no comparison. Your nightmare is not, oh, I'm getting beat up by somebody. It doesn't have to be all that. But anything that is disruptive to your soul, that you know has you questioning yourself and going back and forth and feeling less than you are, feeling unworthy. God tells you all of these amazing things about yourself for those of you who believe in the Bible. And then you turn around and question all of it, no matter how much you've read. You still don't believe it applies to you. There's probably some people, some places, some ideas, some work environments, something that is running amok and has you stuck in this loop and in this nightmare. You have to awaken. You have to be radically honest with yourself and then others. Every other month, I attend a Super Friends brunch where we talk about everything from purpose to pursuing new dreams and even menopause. Yep, you heard me, menopause, because if you're over 40 and your girlfriends don't keep it real, I don't know what to tell you. But we have these important conversations because how can we redefine wealth if we're not keeping up with our hormonal health? Now, we discovered Happy Mammoth. It's the company that created Hormone Harmony, and it's dedicated to making women's lives easier. And that means using only science-backed ingredients that have been proven to work for us. They make no compromise when it comes to quality. Hormone Harmony contains herbal extracts called adaptogens that help the body adapt to any stressors like chaotic hormonal changes that happen naturally. And any woman with symptoms of hormonal imbalances can take Hormone Harmony. It's perfect for hot flashes, night sweats, menopause-related brain fog, sleeplessness, occasional bloating and gas. You get the picture. Hormone Harmony can help with all of these things. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off on your entire first order at happymammoth.com by using the code RW at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code RW for 15% off.
Douglas is one of many who found a new life through Seattle's Union Gospel Mission.
I was living on the streets when I heard this guy talk about how he got clean and sober at the mission. So I decided to give it a try. I could feel something working inside of me, and I knew I was getting better. Today, my number one goal is to stay clean and sober.
And grace will lead me home.
To hear more, volunteer, or donate, visit ugm.org.
Millions of people have lost weight with personalized plans from Noom. Like Evan, who can't stand salads and still lost 50 pounds.
Salads generally for most people are the easy button, right? For me, that wasn't an option. I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. But Noom worked for me.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom user compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
Are you ready for Redefining Wealth Live 2024? I hope so, because we already have everything locked in and all we need is you in Atlanta, Georgia. Do not miss this. Right now, we have early bird tickets on sale. You know you want to come, so you might as well lock in that ticket right now. Click the link below or go to redefiningwealthlive.com to secure your seat today. He said, people cannot redefine until they awaken. And then redefining wealth started to become more clear for me, that it wasn't just about talking about the pillars as if they were these 6 separate individual things. We created the model for redefining wealth. And for those of you who came to Redefining Wealth Live, you know what this looks like. It's basically a pentagon, and then what you desire is in the middle. But this year at Redefining Wealth Live, I'm going to unveil the evolved version of that, because as I continue to evolve, God just keeps showing me more and more and more. And I'm like, oh, as I continue to coach, as I continue to walk this thing out with women, I'm just like, oh no, okay. I'm so grateful, because unless I had taken the time last year, I could not have seen it. I could not have seen it. Right? So we now have a full framework for redefining wealth that we use in the Institute. And then he said, actualize. So it's awaken, redefine, actualize. People think because they hear the pillars that they're actually living by them. Hearing and doing, two separate things. Knowing and owning, two separate things. Right? Knowledge of something and wisdom, which is the application of knowledge, meaning you know how to apply it. You have really defined some things for yourself. You are walking it out. Two separate things. So the continuum was born in this season. And I am so grateful that because I knew my lifestyle design number, I could trust myself to surrender, to be still, and to let God speak on what I needed to do next. I did an episode about, I think it was called 3 Numbers That You Need to Know. We'll link to it. I did it late last year, and it was the lifestyle design numbers. So I used the pillars, and I've been doing this for a few years now. I use the pillars to figure out what the actual dollar amount is I need or I desire in each one of the pillars so I can live the way I want to live. And the reality is I was making way more than that in the business for those years. And so even with releasing $1 million in revenue, the reason that I could still maintain 85, 90% of my lifestyle and create the space for God to speak to me as often as and as freely as he wanted to was because I already had the practice of using the pillars to create my lifestyle design number. In Purpose to Platform, I used to always say, what is your number? Know your number. Don't just come out here like, oh, I need to make 6 figures, or I'm just pulling numbers out. Sometimes you're pulling numbers out and you're working and toiling really, really hard for something that you don't even require, to the detriment of your other pillars. Sometimes you've hit a number. Oh, I need to make $195,000 a year. What would you use it for? You don't even have that outlined. When you outline how you desire to live and get honest about what those numbers are, you may see that at $125,000 a year, you already hit that goal. Now everything else is just gravy. And you can create margin when you so desire. So it gives you the freedom to make choices that are rooted in faith, not fear. It gives you an opportunity to be radically honest with people who want to keep you in an old, archaic, expired version of yourself. It gives you an opportunity to lean into this idea of the willing to lose list that you guys have heard me talk about multiple times, where it's not that you want to lose, but you're willing to lose in order to be all that you feel God is calling you to be in this season. And willing to lose applies to your beliefs, your behaviors, people, and possessions. What are you willing to lose? Not that you want to, not that you will, not that you're not willing to work it out, but you're willing to, because the willingness is what creates the posture of surrendering. It's what removes the attachment to the outcome so you can be free to make choices rooted in authenticity. When you understand what your number is, you're more willing to lose. When you have the practice of obedience, you're more willing to lose. When that obedience can go in either way, you're more willing to lose. When you are doing the authentic alignment audit and you're getting really clear about who you are, how you are, why you are, what you need, want, and desire, you are more willing to lose. Still hard, still not easy, but you can do it with more ease. And in this season of needing your purpose to evolve, this is a part of the practice that nobody wants to hear. We want to hear that we just gonna go from glory to glory. That's not how this works. It's just not how it works. So you have to make peace with the process. A part of this process of your purpose evolving is going to require you to prune, to release, to detach from, to let go of, to surrender. So what happened outside of the continuum for redefining wealth and Pillar Mastery and even the Institute for Redefining Wealth and the Redefining Wealth live event? All of these things happened that I did not anticipate. All of this work around going all in on the pillars and supporting people more through personal development so that they can own their personal finances, so that they can really step into purpose. That's what's been on my heart to do during this time. But what else happened? Not launching those programs and giving up $1 million in revenue created the space for me to work on my own self-love practice, to create margin, and to fall in love. I had the space to date. If I were launching those programs, especially thinking about the time or season that I met my now partner, I would not have had the capacity to date. I would not have had the capacity to entertain, going on dates and all this stuff. I know how I am. I would be deeply in the trenches with what I was doing. And because I wasn't, I had the space. And I'm so grateful because now I can rebuild with genuine support, love, and encouragement. And that feels so good. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever experienced to be fully supported in this way. So I am so grateful. I gave up $1 million in revenue, but I know how to make money. You know my mantra, been there, done that on the way back. I know what to do. I wasn't released to do it. So I fell in love. That happened. I focused on all my relationships. My daughter turned 16 last August, and she got a car, and it was the realization, oh my gosh, my baby's really leaving. You know, you guys got to see her junior prom picture recently. This girl is out of here in like a year. And while she'll always be my child, be my baby, the nature of our relationship is shifting a little bit, right? As she becomes a young woman, and having the time to continuously focus on the relationship with her, but to take a 2-week vacation to Europe and go to Madrid and Paris and London and do all of these things with her, that is usually a season where I would have been in a launch. And I'm so glad that I spent those 2 weeks creating memories with my baby and also seeing my nephew who lives in Madrid. It was beautiful. Our Super Friends lunch was birthed after the Redefining Wealth live event. I get to be in that community, but I have several communities of really brilliant, talented, compassionate, giving, loving women that have just nurtured me and who I've been able to nurture and support and show up for. I am in this season being and becoming the best friend I've ever been to people in my life because my life is not consumed with launching and doing all the things. Hey, podcast family, big news. I've just launched a game-changing app designed exclusively for you. It is officially the Redefining Wealth app with Patrice Washington. Now, all of my courses, coaching, live streams, and most importantly, my community are just a tap away, all under one roof. You can download the app now for seamless access to exclusive content and a vibrant community of purpose chasers from all over the world. This is the ultimate hub for all things Patrice Washington and all things redefining wealth. You can search for it in your app store or find the link at redefiningwealth.app. That's redefiningwealth.app. Do not miss out. Your journey to redefining wealth just got a whole lot easier. Download the app today and let's take this adventure of redefining wealth for ourselves to the next level together. Another thing that's happened is just my understanding that I literally don't care about how huge the audience is. I just want to serve the people I'm assigned to. I am not moved anymore by onlookers. Even if you were a past client or we were in a past season together, if in this season you are an onlooker and we're not called to lock arms together, all of your thoughts, judgments, opinions about who I am, how I've evolved, what I'm doing, literally don't matter to me. And I'm so grateful that I had this season to take a step back and not be so caught up in all the noise. I'm doing a live at this point. It would have already come out in the Redefining Wealth app called I'm Not Going Back, or Do Not Go Back. We keep wanting to go back. I'm not trying to go back to what I did before. Why would I need to when I serve a God that can do a new thing and is doing a new thing in me? I don't need to go back. I want to go forward. I want to look ahead. I want God to blow my mind with the possibilities, because you know what? If I can think it, imagine it, all these things, it really ain't that big. I want something that is going to come out of left field and be like, whoa, wow. And I'm here for it. I'm open to it. I'm creating the space for it. I love the way that I'm supporting people now. I have not done one-on-one coaching in years, and it feels like the most aligned thing for me to do in this season. And it was Mastery and Momentum, where we started to add a one-on-one coaching call, a floating coaching call to all of the mastermind students they could use whenever they wanted. And last year, on those one-on-one calls is where I started to see for myself again, oh, this is different because you're more authentic. When you did one-on-one coaching back in the day, you thought there was some formula where you had to show up with 2 pages of notes and all of this stuff. I was a great coach back then, but it didn't feel fully aligned. And now I get to show up and be fully present and use my intuitive nature, use the things that I can see. And it was just, I wasn't utilizing my God-given gifts to support people fully. I was trying to do it in a politically correct way in big group settings where I didn't have to lean in, because y'all already know, and this is the truth. So many of us do or don't do things because of trauma that we've experienced, betrayal we've experienced, so many things that we've gone through. And so you start to shy away. And in this season, God is like, no, lean in, because through the support you give other people and through the way you coach, I'm going to show you more and more and more. And I don't even know what that looks like, but I'm excited by it. I'm excited to do one-on-one coaching. 5 years ago, it was draining to me. In this season right now, I think it's the best possible thing for me to be doing, because I know it's going to teach me more, expand me more as I help my clients grow and expand and evolve and become more authentic and actualize these things they say they want. I'm like so excited. I'm already excited with what we're doing now, but like, I'm so excited. It gave me more joy and passion back to take a step back. And I love that for me. And I love that for y'all, the people that I serve. And so I will say this in summary. I am never going to tell another soul to quit their job or to rip up their business plan or any of that. But I am here to demonstrate for you that you will survive and it can get better. That even though you may feel like you lost some things, really many of us, I gave this illustration to Ish, one of my one-on-one clients. Many of us have 2 fingers up, put both your hands up, put your index finger up, and imagine that you are trying to spin plates. And you also have a plate on your head. You might have a leg up with a plate on your big toe. And all of these plates are spinning. And because on the outside, it looks like a great party trick, so people are applauding and they're clapping. They want to come and add extra plates, and you are shucking and jiving and doing all the things to show them that you could do the party tricks. And your soul is exhausted because that no longer feels authentic to you. And God is like, put your index fingers down, throw all those plates out. And I need you to just put your hands up in a posture of receiving. You don't have to perform. You get to be your authentic self. You get to let me bring you what is for you. You get to attract all the things, but you have to surrender. So you can keep spinning the plates if you want to, but I'm going to be putting things in the hands of people who put their hands up in a posture of surrender. One of my songs, I can't remember the name. It says, this is how I fight my battles, but it's talking about when you put your hands up in a posture of surrender. I'll have to find it and we can link to it in the show notes, guys. but it speaks to that. I remember so many days being in my prayer room, just putting my hand up. Like, this is how I fight my battles. I'm not fighting anything, trying to spin all the plates. I release it. Let them fall to the ground. Let them shatter. Because I believe God will put something new in my hands, and it'll be the best possible thing for me in this season. And I say that because sometimes when we are so used to doing and so used to trying to help God, trying to tell him what we want and trying to do all the things, we just miss it. We miss it when we exhaust ourselves doing things that nobody asked you to do. Even if they did ask, were they the people assigned to you? Sometimes, but maybe not. So I hope that this is a blessing to you. I don't know who you are, where you are, what you're experiencing, but I always say, I'm here for the one. And if you are one person who needs to make some decisions in your life, and it revolves around releasing some revenue, releasing a paycheck, releasing what you thought you needed, again, get prepared, do the things, do your authentic alignment audit. Come into the Institute for Redefining Wealth. It's $49 a month. That's a whole nother thing I forgot to say. I've never had anything like that. You know, that was nothing but the Lord. I have been high ticket, smaller group programs, around 100 people or less this entire time at a higher price point. I never felt like I was the membership style $49 a month. And that came out of that season. That wasn't a chase money play for me. It wasn't a chase money thing at all, but it was obedience. And I'm so grateful because I love the Institute and what people are doing in there. We just launched in January. It's been absolutely incredible, and it's only going to get better. There are so many things that are happening that I did not think I might ever do, but here I am, and I'm grateful for it. I can't wait to see how God continues to expand this and the way that I serve people. And if you are listening and this resonates with you, send me a DM. If you need support, if you're looking for a coach, send me a DM, send me a message, or send my team one. And let's talk about it, because this is not for the faint of heart. I couldn't have walked this out without the support of my community, my own coach, my super friends, my new partner. Like, there's so many people that God has put in my life to fortify me in this season. And I am so grateful. And if I could be a part of who fortifies you in this season, I would love to explore that with you. So I hope this was a blessing, you guys. That's the story. Gave up $1 million in revenue. Here we are. So much has happened, but so much will happen too. So I hope this is a blessing. Please rate and review this episode. Tell us what you think in the comments. And I will be back next week with another episode, and we will round out this whole Purpose Evolves month in the Redefining Wealth community. Make sure you get your guide. It is available to everyone who is a member of the Redefining Wealth app. Come and get your Purpose Evolves guide. It is so juicy, so good. And that's it. I'll see you guys next week. Until then, I want you to live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and earn more without ever chasing money. I'll talk to you later.
A lot goes into taking care of your property. You need equipment with more reliability and versatility built in, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors, rated #1 in durability and owner experience. Z Series mowers that deliver a quality cut, and Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. Visit your local Kubota dealer for a demo today.
Green & Sons Farm and Lawn Equipment. On the web at greenandsons.com.
Warmer weather is here. Can your home's AC keep up? Are you worrying about sweltering bedrooms, suffocating home offices, or other annoying hotspots? A single-zone heat pump system from Mitsubishi Electric adds complete comfort control to the rooms where you need it most, without having to add new ductwork. All electric, energy efficient, and perfect for all climates. Heat pumps are a great way to keep any space comfy year-round. Learn more about Mitsubishi Electric products at patriotair.com.